Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up? I'm going to be cutting my hair here just for a little bit, y'all, while I'm waiting for people to get on. Yeah, something a little bit. I don't typically do this, but it's Friday and I'm just chilling, okay? And then we're gonna get into the news here, but let me go ahead and put some music on first, and let's go ahead and make sure this thing is on. Is this music on? Is it on? There you go. There you go. All right, so I'm just waiting for people to get on here, and then I'm going to start off here, okay? This ain't some ritual or somebody want to say that. I was like, you know what? I should just start off cutting my hair, because if I don't do it now, I ain't going to have time to do it. Hope you guys had a great week. We're heading off into a wonderful weekend. Today is May the 16th, 2025. And we're heading off to a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys have some good plans. We're going to talk about, get into this thing about reparations. This is a topic we have talked about many times in the past, and yet it's coming up again, and we're gonna get into it a little bit further, okay? Thank you. And then we're gonna touch on some other news as well. See, the thing about us that don't hardly have hair, it don't take much. Meanwhile, if I go to a barbershop, they're gonna want to charge me $50 for what I'm doing right now. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll do it myself. This ain't all of it. Let me see. Go on that music. All right. Almost finished there. I think I got most of it there. Let's see what else we got here. Let me see if I got something else I could play here in the meantime, because I'm trying to buy some time. All right, let me see what else I have. I'll go with that, maybe. Yeah. We'll go with that. And when this is over, we'll go ahead and get started, okay? All right. I just need a little bit. I'm trying to buy some time, y'all, okay? Hold on. Well, while you're watching me, make sure you head on over to sambatree.com, because, yes, we do have stuff for the brothers. That beard, we got some beard ointment that you can put on your beard. Once you wash it and all of that, you want something to put on your beard that smell good, head on over to sambatree.com, and we'll take care of you over there. Almost there. I'm just trying to get it all here. Probably gonna miss a spot, but I'll figure that out later. good for now. I'm just going to have to go with that. All right, I think that's yeah. So thank you for bearing with me on that. I had to take care of that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to another broadcast on this beautiful day, and let's see what the temperature is right here in beautiful Arizona. It is 89 degrees, and yeah, we are here, and we are ready to go on and get on in. I hope you guys have a good weekend planned out, and you're gonna go out and do something besides sitting home and just watching whatever it is that you watch on TV or whatever. But I hope you actually go out. We actually went out yesterday. We did a little mini outing and got something good to eat and all of that stuff. And so today we're gonna I don't know, we just chill today and then probably go back out tomorrow. But anyway, get out, please. Go on outside and get away from the internet for a little while and just enjoy yourself. Have a good old time with friends or family or by yourself. Okay, so today we're going to get into talking about this, Democrats, once again, they're diving into this whole reparations discussion again. And I'm going to play some clips again so that we can hear what they're saying. Are they telling us something different? Are they serious now? Are they getting ready to put it down for us? Or is it something more of the same? Well, it's about time we start looking at the details, which we've already done here on this platform. And then we're going to also touch on some little bit of news here and there and that kind of stuff. And, and just there you go. We're going to do all of that. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure, if you haven't done so already, make sure you head on over to our wonderful website, our wonderful platform, which is sambatree.com. Sambatree.com. That's where you get all your health and wellness needs, over there. And it's that, but it's so much more. But I'll just briefly go over there for those of you who are brand new to the platform here. Samba Tree, we have everything from all capsules. We believe in 100% natural. 100% natural, everything. Everything we talk about on this platform, we try to center it around the health and wellness of people. All right. So when we're talking about news, we ain't going to just sit up there and just throw out bad things out there and then leave you hanging. No, we want to give you some solutions. What can you do? You are the change agent. It starts with you. You are in no condition to help anybody else if you're not helping yourself. This is one of the ways that you can do it. Rather if you buy it from us or you go somewhere else, it doesn't matter. Just take care of yourself. That is the main mission of this platform here. And so if you take a look here, we got all kinds of stuff from powders to gels. We got these people still buying up these juices, man. And they are so good. My personal favorite is the mango. That's my personal favorite, followed by soursop and then guava and then coconut water, and so I absolutely love it. So if you're looking for 100% no preservatives, no additives, no sugar that's added to your drinks, then you want to definitely check that out. Okay. Then we got some other things on there as well, from food seasonings, all 100% natural food seasonings. Yeah. Seasonings that actually have flavor. I ain't talking about no putting little sprigs or anything like that. No, I'm about flavor. You know what I mean? And that's what we have here. We got all kinds of stuff for your body. 100% natural things, all body care. We got dental, check all of that out. So, this is a start. This is a start here. And pretty soon, my wife and I, we're going to do a video where we're going to go through all of these things, because I told you about the whole ordeal with Spotify. Wow. Shopify that basically said, hey, listen, you can't make any medical claims about any of this stuff. So we had to take all of it off. But still, it leaves a vacuum because people need to know what exactly do all of these things do. And so one thing we pride ourselves on this platform is really educating, trying to show people what things are good for, and, how what are these different herbs and stuff? What are their purposes and stuff like that? Now you can look these things up on your own, but we're here to help. We want to show you those things too. So we were going to do pretty soon, we're going to do a free seminar. We're going to get into it and we're going to talk about it. So just be on the lookout for that. Also tomorrow, I'll have another blog post coming up. Make sure you check out our blog post, y'all, because we talk about some very serious things like breaking the cycle and how to stay strong while we're community healing, because a lot of this news that you hear, I know that it could be very rough, because there are many of you, you're not used to really having to sit down and to look at the ugliness of the stuff that we got to deal with, right? But there's a healthy way of doing it, and that's what we talk about with that. In a previous post, we talked about, it was called the heavy burden, why it's wrong for you to be that person that has to carry your whole family. No, you don't have to do that. No, that's not you. Okay, you have to take care of yourself first. All right, same thing. And then and then sugar addictions, and we talk about how sugar, how it has when you're taking on too much of it, how it has a direct impact on your emotions and your outlook on life and all of that stuff. So we put a lot in these posts, so make sure you check those out as well. Other things that are resources that are free for you. We have Miss Ronnie, of course, she handles things within the store, but we also have something called Baba Herb Assistant. And if you're not using it, you need to use it, because this is a platform where any herbal questions that you have whatsoever, he could pretty much answer all of them. But you have to be signed up on ChatGPT, which is free. It's a free application, and you don't have to pay for it unless you want the extras. You don't need the extras to use Baba Herb Assistant. So if you have a ChatGPT account, you can use it and literally ask him anything. This is something that we built, and I put in a lot of resources in there that it needs to pull on. Make sure you check that out. One other thing I have that we built as well, it's actually two things, but I'll just go to the one. Let me see where that is. You have to go to our Journey Man and Woman page for this. This is Pharma Guy. Let me go to Pharma Guy. Okay. And again, you access that by going to our website, journeymanandwoman.com. Pharma Guy, if you have anything, if you're taking any pharmaceuticals from your doctor or whatever, and you're just taking it because your doctor told you to take it, but you yourself really haven't done any real research on it. Well, we built a platform for you to do your research on it, and it's free. Again, you put in whatever drug it is that they're giving you, it's going to do a full breakdown, and it's also going to give you some recommended herbs that you can take, as well. Some recommended herbs that, that will go along with whatever it is that you're trying to solve. And and it'll also tell you about all the different tests that were done on that pharmaceutical that they're giving you and all of that. Did it pass? Did it fail? And any other news items. So it's giving you a complete breakdown of it. So this is Pharma Guy. How do you access it? Go to journeymanandwoman.com. Go to the top of the page. You'll see a link for it. Click on it and it'll take you there. It'll also take you to Baba Herb Assistant. You can check that out as well. Okay. Again, we're about health and wellness, getting you well. Okay. So that you can tackle life, and be well while you're doing it. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. And thank y'all for those of y'all missed it. I was giving myself a haircut. I'm not even finished because I ain't get the beard yet, but I'm going to get to that after the broadcast. But anyway, let's talk about it. So recently, the Congressional Black Caucus, again, as you know, they have been on a tear. They have been on a tear trying to find some relevance, along with the Democratic Party for that matter. They're trying to find some relevance in this, now, in the shadow of them losing the elections. And they're just trying to find some way to be relevant. So they're going to things. So one thing, it was the Tesla, we got to go after Elon. Elon is the Antichrist. We got to go after him. So all the energy was after him. And then they were going, then the last thing was immigration. Where was that? I put the link. I'll show y'all that. But I created a link that showed you where all the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, where they stood when it comes to immigration and also LGBT, right? And so they are so pumped up about immigration that they were actually, and some of y'all seen it, some of y'all saw just literally trying to quote unquote wink, trying to break into these, ICE facilities. They got all of these energies for MS-13 gang members, but, you got brothers and sisters in these prisons that shouldn't even be in there. But they're not going to try to rescue them. Where's that energy to try to get them out? But for MS-13 gang members and people who just will enter into this country illegally, they're going, oh my God, we got to get these people out of here. Right. And so, it's all the song and, and nobody, it's just one congresswoman. That woman got to be like in her 70s and I'm going to get, it's like, you're not doing nothing. You just want somebody to sock you in the eye or something like that so that it can be said that you were abused and, all of that. And, people are done. People are completely done with the playing around, the acting. We're done with that because it's not producing anything. It really isn't. Let's go to, I'm trying to find the first video here. I actually have two videos here, but let me try to find this first one here. And this is one of the Congress people, taking on a question. So let me go ahead and get this here. Let's take a listen to this woman here and we'll pull this all the way up here on the screen. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to get it just right there. All right. Here we go. All right, here we go. Take a listen to what she has to say. She's taking on a question.
Has been exactly what does your resolution really aim for? Is it that Black Americans of a certain economic level, are they being targeted? Is it everyone? So basically, it doesn't matter as to what economic level. It's pretty much all Black Americans. What about those individuals of any race that have a lineage going back to slave America? It doesn't matter.
So to be very clear, whether or not a Black descendant of American chattel slavery were able to break into the middle class, they are still, and they were able to do that despite the harms, despite the past injustices done to them. So they are not excluded from the reparation and the remedies therein. When we think about who traces their lineage back, that is again a debate that is used to try to silence the rest of this movement. It's a distraction tactic because what we want to do is instead of focusing on again what the system did, who did it, and
well, let's back up here for a second. No, that is not a distraction tactic. That's an actual question, because as I demonstrated on that handout that I made available to you guys, all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus have made it extremely clear, and you're going to hear it out of one of their mouths in a moment. They made it extremely clear that they will use black as the Trojan horse, but it's also attached to people of color. It's also attached to brown people. It's attached to other things as well. So it's never just black. Anytime they say that, it means that there's a big asterisk there and other things are attached to it. But yeah, so no, that is not a distraction tactic at all. And they're connected to an organization called NCOBRA, which I will take you to their website as well, because NCOBRA has also made it clear that is not exclusively a black issue when it comes to reparations. So let's go. And when I say black, I'm talking Black Americans.
What the impact of it was, we'd rather get bogged down in, well, should they make $25 an hour or should they be paid below a living wage, right? Should they have been educated, or if they're educated, is that disqualified? No, they're black. If they are black and they're descendants of slaves, then they were directly in the lineage of harm. If they are descendant of Jim Crow policies in this country, they are the direct descendants and current living recipients of that harm. If they are living today, then we are still harmed by inequitable funding schemes of public schools. We're still harmed by being black or brown or poor and living.
You heard that? You heard that? See how they slipped in? You see how she slipped that in real quick? Being black or brown, real quick. She ain't the only one, but I just wanted to make sure you caught that.
Mental hazards all over this country. If you are black in this country right now, you are still less likely to be able to acquire a loan. The interest rates are still higher for black folks who are attempting to buy homes or go to school. We are still discriminated because of our hair, because of our names, when we go to get jobs.
And there were actually studies on this, because number one, when they say that, you're at a greater risk, if you're black, you're at a greater risk of getting higher interest rates. That is partially true. I'm not saying or suggesting that we don't have racism in this country. Okay, so if you're new to this channel, that is never my argument. That is not what I'm saying or suggesting at all. But you also have to keep in mind the fact that part of the reason why interest rates tend to be higher for black folks, anytime you hear people make that statement, what they are leaving out is, in many cases, it's when this system looks at the credit score. They look at your credit history. Now, you can make a whole argument on why black folks credit tend to be on the lower end of the scale. You can attribute that to whatever, but bottom line, this system, that's what they go by. Now, is that to say that all black people have bad credit? Absolutely not. There are many. Let me say that again. There are many black Americans that have stellar credit. Okay? So let's make that absolutely clear. So how does her argument then apply to those people? You understand? So no, it's not an issue where if you're black, automatically you're going to be subjected to higher interest rates simply because you're black. Again, we understand there are certain nuances out there. I'm sure someone's going to remind me of the house appraisal situation where it was a black family trying to sell their home, and they had the appraiser there, and they appraised it at one price. But then when they switched out the black family and then said, we're going to put a white couple in there, then they appraised it differently. Yes, we are aware of those games that do happen, but they do not apply all the time. They don't. We also have to be honest about the other side too, that in many cases that does not happen. And there are, fortunately, when caught, there are checks and balances that are in place for that. Okay. But again, we're not in denial of that. But let's be clear. People aren't just arbitrarily just receiving higher interest rates on a massive scale simply because of the color of your skin. When it does happen, like I know in the case of Wells Fargo, for example, they got in trouble for playing some of those games like that. But they got caught. It was checks and balances in place to take care of that. But on a much wider scale, does that happen across the board? No, it does not. So we have to be honest about both sides of this whole situation here. Okay. Anytime when people say stuff like that. Okay. So this is Ayanna. And Congresswoman Ayanna, I can't remember her last name, but this is her right here. And she is also making the same argument regarding reparations. Her clip is much slower. Wow. Much shorter. So let's take a listen to her.
And discrimination against black people. We are in a moment of anti-blackness on steroids, and we refuse to be silent. We will not back down in our pursuit of racial justice. The antidote to anti-blackness is to be pro-black, and we will do it unapologetically. The United States government owes us a debt, and we need reparations now.
All right, so that's her whole spiel, that it's reparations. So now let's take a look at the actual bill, because what they're pushing, and, this is something that they were pushing back in even when they started in 2021. Biden was president during that time, as you know. Let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. We're not going to go through the entire bill for the sake of time, but I will show you, you can look this up on your own on the details of it. Now, in the bill, there is no mention of brown people or people of color, so they made sure to get rid of that. But this is why it's important, and I'll see if I can remember to pull up. I'm going to leave this up on the screen. Let me see if I can find my other thing that I made for y'all. Okay, let me see. That was on my Dropbox. Hold on. Let's see. It's going to be under this, and this. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up here. All right. So let me switch to that so you can see that again. This is just as a quick reminder. All right. So when you're hearing these people, it's important to know their backgrounds. It's important to know where are they really coming from. All right. Because they're saying blackity, black, but it's important to kind of know where they stand on certain things. So in on this table that I created, I wanted to know where they all stood when it comes to when it says immigration reform, that's just basically code talk for open borders. All right. So immigration reform. And then I have another column here for LGBTQ rights. And so if you take the time and go through all this, and of course, we're not going to go through every last detail of it, but this covers all members of the Congressional Black Caucus. And what is highlighted in here are not just their stances on these two particular issues, but any quotes that they've made on it. You're going to find that in here, some main quotes on here. And so you can just go through that. And as you go through it, you will see that all members of the Congressional Black Caucus, for the most part, they're all on code when it comes to these particular issues, LGBTQ and immigration reform. Now, why is that important? It's important because it's been established over and over again that these two issues are always going head to head when we're talking specific Black American issues. They always are competitive. Anytime there's not a bill that's out there that will address specifically Black Americans, they always got to wedge in these other groups and say that, well, you got some of them, they're in there too, and we got LGBTQ rights and all of that. It's kind of like the whole thing with the argument about, they're trying to get rid of Black history. They're trying to get rid of it, and it's that whole curriculum that was developed some years ago where it incorporated Black history, but the underline of it was putting in their LGBTQ lessons as well. And that's what people were pushing against. They weren't pushing against Black history in of itself. It was the underlying messaging that was being put in it. And so these are things that are in conflict with Black Americans, period. Especially when we're talking about establishing families. One man, one woman, right? And the children. All right. Let me give you an example of when I'm talking about why it's important for people, for us to stand on our square when we're talking about such issues here. Let me see if I can pull up this. Yeah, I got the video right here. Now, this is a Black man who is at in Minneapolis, and he's given public comment at a hearing. I want you to take a listen to what he, as a parent, had to deal with. All right. You know how these schools now, they're giving, the students on these iPads so that they can do their work. I want you to take a listen to what he has to say on what he discovered. And we're going to get back to HR 40 in a moment here. But I want you to take a listen to what he discovered while he was looking over his children's homework.
Father of a third grader at Las Estrellas Elementary. Miss Director, I had emailed you. I had emailed the principal, the assistant principal, and the school social worker. My son, 2 weeks ago, was exposed to a group of, let's say, gay men having sex on the iPad. And how my son came about it was he forgot his laptop at home, and your teacher lent my son his personal iPad. Well, when my son was doing a project with some of the other kids in the classroom, all of a sudden they closed out a tab. There was a bunch of naked men sitting right there in front of my son. And then all the other kids that had seen this, they were shocked. But what's crazy is that I haven't heard nothing since. I didn't get a response from our superintendent. I had a meeting with your guys' assistant superintendent, your guys' assistant principal, but nobody had the decency to make my son important enough to show up to that meeting in the morning to tell me why he was able to be exposed to this type of material. Now, I've heard about the situation that happened at your guys' high school, at North High School, with the teacher that was involved with sexually explicit material as well. To me, I don't care what team you bat for, but you guys got to quit putting all this stuff in front of these kids, all this sexual material, regardless if it's a flag or if it's them actually seeing the content on an electronic device that is in school. Now, I came to you guys last time arguing about security factors with the students about how they were roaming around. Now, dude, you guys literally I was told that you guys weren't gonna inform the other parents in this classroom. Like, you guys will tell us if a student gets lice, if a student gets COVID, if he gets the flu. But you guys will not tell all the parents in the classroom that their kids were exposed to sexual explicit material. And I think that's weird. It's weird. Because how can you send out a text message about all these other things, but you can't tell parents that their kids were exposed to this? Now, my son, one of 6 kids.
Please finish your comment.
My son, one of 6 kids, was the only one to speak up about this and the only one to make it known. So now I ask y'all, what are y'all planning to do about this? How are y'all gonna protect these children and hide this material from them? Because it's everywhere in this world right now, especially here. You guys gotta protect these kids. And if y'all, as parents, students, and everything.
Thank you for your time, sir.
If you guys wanna see a difference, start looking at their paychecks. Y'all want change? Look at their paychecks. That's how you guys are gonna make.
Thank you.
And this is what goes on every day in America. That's why I said it's a lot of this stuff that people are debating about and arguing about. I mean, some of this minor stuff. In the meantime, you have, unfortunately, many of people, and I'm speaking specifically to black folks, we could say whatever the heck we want about how this government is this, that, or whatever, but you're still subjecting your children to a system. You're entrusting this system, this very system that many of y'all would get on social media and complain about. But at the same time, you'll go to bed, you put your post up, you go to bed the next day. Okay, see you, bro. And you put them on the school bus so that the system can educate your children. And this is the kind of education that's going on. I used to, years ago, I had a blog, and I'm not getting too far off here. But I had a blog. It was like years ago. It was blackinformant.com. That was the name of it. Years ago, I had this blog. And I used to track all of the cases where teachers were getting caught with having relations with children. And it got to be so much. It was enough is enough. But I had a running track. Hundreds of teachers. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it to this day. I'm bringing these things up because this is the kind of behavior that's actually protected by these individuals. And then you add what this gentleman was just saying as far as like what these children are now being exposed to. It's the same kind of activity that I just pointed out to you. People like the Congressional Black Caucus, they're protecting and promoting. So these are the people when they, in their minds, when they're saying, hey, listen, we want reparations, keep in mind that they're also baking in those bills. It may not be an initial stage, but trust me, it's going to be in there. By the time they're finished doing whatever they're going to do, they're going to put all this other stuff in there. And this is what you're going to be agreeing to. You understand? I'm going to talk a little bit about a moment, again, remind you again what my stance is when it comes to reparations. But this is what you have to understand when you, when you're talking about reparations. It's not just a cash deposit in your account. There's a lot of other things attached to it. Okay. So with that, let's go back to the bill. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole bill because it's really not that long because, you know, they're just kind of in the early stages right now. And at this rate, it probably ain't going to, I think it's just going to phase out at the end of the day. But this is the bill right here. Do they have an overview? I'll just go over the overview here. Okay. To address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and to establish a commission to study and to consider a national apology and proposal for reparations for the institution of slavery and to its subsequent de jure and de facto racial economic discrimination against African Americans and the impact of these forces on living African Americans, to make recommendations to the Congress on appropriate remedies and for other purposes. All right. And so when you read it, basically, it's just going over some of the basics here. All right. And then, then it talks about some of the areas that they're going to be looking into. It's not just cash, but it can be other things as well. And they're just going, this is all the formality. Now, when you go to this page here, I think it's Is it under actions? Okay, yeah, this is under actions here. It's kind of been dead since 2021. All right, so it was introduced in the House, you know, on 1/4/2021, and they kind of ran with it until 4/14/2021, and that's pretty much it. So now they're kind of ramping it up again. Now, the organization that they're leaning on heavily to get this up, it's called NCOBRA. This is the National Coalition, of Blacks for Reparations in America. Now they say right here on the front, they said in September 2003, they go through. That's when it was established as a 501c3. And then if you go here to the highlighted part here in the top, it says projects to educate and to seek reparations for what? Africans and the people of African descent. So this is not strictly just for Black Americans, okay? And just know that, all right? So here is, if you go into this section here, is what is NCOBRA's relationship to the international reparations movement? I don't need to read all of this. I'll just read a little bit. Although NCOBRA's primary focus is obtaining reparations for African descendants of the United States, it is part, and when they say African, they're not just talking like Black Americans. They're also including even Africans that have come over since then. Like, you know, you got on a plane, you skipped over slavery and all that. You came here by way of plane, okay? You weren't on the bottom of the boat. You came here by plane. They're including those people as well, all right? And so anyway, they say here, it's a part of an international movement for reparations under the leadership of the International Affairs Commission. NCOBRA works closely with Africans, African descendants, and supporters of reparations for the Africans and African descendants throughout the world. So again, this is not strictly a Black American movement, and they're telling you that. If you go under this section here, it says who should receive reparations within the broadest definition. Okay, here we go. They're trying to make it as broad as possible. That's the problem. That's the problem. All Black people of African descent in the United States should receive reparations in the form of changes in or elimination of laws and practices that allow them to be treated differently and less well than white people. Now, this is interesting. This is very interesting because Trump just got rid of DEI, right? And DEI, it was hardly about making things equal. It was actually a little bit more than that. And when they got rid of DEI, now all of a sudden they losing their minds over that. But here they're saying that, yeah, we want to eliminate those laws, but don't touch DEI. Anyway, so yeah, so this group, if you read up on it, NCOBRA is working hand in hand with the Congressional Black Caucus. And, you know, with that other handout that I showed you, the Congressional Black Caucus is very committed to two other things that will show up. It will show up eventually in this whole discussion. And that is open borders, which, again, we've talked about that in great detail, how that has an adverse effect on Black workers. It does. All right. Open borders, and then LGBTQ, same thing. It is not the same. I don't care if that's a life you choose to live, that's your life. But it is not the same as someone who is just simply, hey, listen, I'm a Black man, straight Black man, I'm a straight Black woman. And, you know, I was born this way and I'm just going to live my life. And that's warts and all. I'm going to have to deal with some of the other things, too. We don't get a choice on changing our colors. All right. We don't get a choice to do that. So it is not the same as someone saying that I choose to be a different gender. There's no different. There's a huge difference with that. My daughter and I last night we were watching something on YouTube. Do you know they have something? And if I thought about it earlier, I would have put it on here. They have it's you go on TikTok. It's called Clown Cult. I kid you not, Clown Cult. And they literally call themselves as a clown community. Clown community. I'm not making this up. Where people, the participants, they actually put on full clown makeup and they get together and they do whatever. And they're clowns. It's a clown. It's a real community of people that get together, they dress up like clowns. I just like, wow. Clown community. And I was looking at, we were just kind of thumbing through YouTube. So we saw that, and I just shook my head at that. And I don't know how many Baltimore people we got in the house. Baltimore has always been, even though I was born and raised in New Jersey or Philly and then New Jersey, I'm familiar enough with Baltimore, but I can't say that I'm like ever hung out there. I have family that, but I don't, I can't really speak a lot on Baltimore. I've been there through there. I've been through Baltimore many times. I've made a few stops in it, but I just really never spent a whole lot of time there. But I'm familiar with it. You know what I mean? Philly, to a much larger extent, New York, but Baltimore, I just never had a reason, But I was watching we were watching something yesterday, and this is kind of off topic a little bit, but we were watching this thing yesterday, and you know how, what we've been addressing this whole thing with black community and all of that, and what is black community. They said that there's a greeting that they have locally in Baltimore. And you know what it is? Dummy. Like, hey, dummy, what's up? Hey, dummy. Hey, dummy, come here. Hey, dummy. That's the greeting. So I said, so let's back up. So when we look in what we call black culture, we have, of course, nigga, right? We got bees. We got those hoes. We call each other, I said niggas, right? So that, now we have dummies, right? And then not having to do with us. It's what other thing I talked about last night. I was saying, looking at these subculture, they call themselves clowns. That's all separate. That had nothing to do with black folks. But I was just like, wow, just taking a step back, and I was just sitting back like, wow. When you talk about the curses beginning in your mouth, I mean, that's a big example right there. I mean, it's just something, how people will call themselves these things. And it's just, a lot of times, like I said, in most cases, it starts right in your mouth. You're going to call each other dumb. I heard that, my mouth was wide open. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, it is a thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can look it up and find out about it. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. But real quick, again, for those that are not familiar or never heard me talk about reparations or my 2 cents on it, I'll just tell you very quickly. When it comes to reparations, for me, yes, I do believe in the argument. I believe the argument is a sound one, in that, yes, you have black Americans or people that were brought over here from the continent of Africa. Okay, yes, they included some of the natives that were here as well, but for the most part, they brought people from the continent of Africa here to this country to work as slaves, to be workers, right? We didn't volunteer to be here. They made us come over here. We were sold by other Africans to come over here. Okay, so all of that is true. I agree with that. We were pretty much brought here to be the laborers to build the infrastructure of the economic system in this country. That is not to be debated at all. Okay, there were promises that were made by the government that they said, hey, listen, if you do this for us, we're going to give you this. They have made promises like this over and over again, and we should have known better, because they were making a bunch of promises to the natives that were here and saying that, okay, all this going to be your land and this is our treaty. And then they'll turn around and say, psych, no, this is our land, and take it back. They've been doing this for numbers of years. So when it came to black people, it was no different. It was no different at all. They made promises, but they never, ever, ever kept them. They did not. Okay. When it comes to land acquisition, things like that, no, they didn't keep that. Okay. So anyway, what then happens is, fast forward. So we have to find our way within this system. So surprise, surprise, they created a nice, comfy on-ramp for us, right? No, they didn't. They brought in their cousin named Jim Crow, which made it even more difficult for us to acclimate and to get adjusted. So that was a more of a setback for us. Okay, that's all agreed. Then you got to deal with things like redlining and all this other stuff that's happened over the years, things that were designed to keep us down economically. Okay, all of that is agreed. All of that. Okay, nobody's disagreeing with any of that. Okay, So it's been so far what I've shared with you is we've established that this is a very corrupt system. It has a long history of corruption. So let's tune it down even more. If you were interested in dating somebody, right? And there were red flags. Okay, someone saying we are here. That's you. Okay, that's you. Speak for yourself and go to your folks, okay? But for the rest of us, we did not originate from here, okay? So I'm not going to even get into that, all right? So go on, Chief Halftown. So anyway, when it comes to, now we get into the topic of reparations here, all right? Where the argument is that we weren't paid for all of that labor. There were promises that were made that we were going to get paid and all this other stuff. Okay, that never really happened. When you look at these other groups, there's a fast track for them to get paid. I mean, we can start from the very top. Jews, they still getting paid. Many Jews are still getting paid. And the irony is that amongst the older population, amongst Jews, they have a significant poverty rate. If you go into Brooklyn, for example, they also deal with poverty as well. You know what I mean? And so this is but somebody's getting the money, right? So that's Jews. Then we can start going through some of the other groups as well over the years that have received some type of reparations, all right? Financial or whatever. They are mostly it's financial. They get money. Okay, none of this other stuff where you're going to get a plaque or, you get a mention in a history book or, they will do stuff like that, but it's money. Okay, they're getting real money. All right, so that has been established. But when it comes to black folks, all right, when it comes to black folks, well, that's something different. And we ain't getting, we going to take our time and we got to study it. We got to do an intense study, because we really got to break this down. They got to tear. No, you got to do a whole study. No, there is no study that needs to be done with this. You know what's up. Okay. So I've just, in that 3-minute thing that I just went through, I have pretty much made the entire argument for reparations and saying that the argument, yes, is a sound argument. And yes, I completely agree with it. Okay. Now, this is where I want you to stay plugged in now. Just as you just plugged in now, I want you to continue to stay plugged in because now this is where your brain needs to be all the way on. If your brain was on 5, it needs to be on 10, okay? Because I really need you to pay attention to this. All right? So, for example, if you're dealing with somebody, you considering going out on a date with them, and you find out, you start going on social media, and you start finding out that, man, they into this, they're doing this, and they're doing that, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. Psst, I ain't messing with this person, man. Click, I ain't messing with them. What did you do? What made you make that determination not to trust that person? You looked at their history, right? You looked at their history. So that's what we need to do here. Let's look at their history. Well, the United States, the government has made it very clear on what their history is when it comes to fairness to black people. Okay? So let me ask you something. Would it be wise if you were going back to my dating analogy, knowing the history of this, let's say it was a guy checking out a girl, right? Knowing that this woman got red flags literally all over the place. In fact, she dresses up in a red flag. Would it be wise for you to go and to date that woman knowing that there's flags all over the place? Would it be wise for you to do that? Of course it wouldn't. So that's what dating. So you got the history and you know that that's wrong. You know you need to avoid that. So what black Americans are doing, and I'm one in case you always get people who don't turn the brain on all the way and they want to assume that, oh, you must be a tether and you got, your grandfather must. No, my people go all the way back to South Carolina to the slave ships. I got the paperwork. Okay. So don't miss me with all of that. Okay. So don't go there with that nonsense. All right. So now, would it be smart? Is it wise for us to actually believe that a government that has a long history of red flags, when it comes to making promises, is it wise for us to actually believe that they are going to divvy out or going to issue out fairness? I want you to really think, walk with me through this. Are they going to really truly divvy out fairness? I did not say that stop arguing for reparations. Notice I ain't saying that. I just want you to think. Is it wise for you to actually believe that this system is going to divvy out fairness and justice? Think on that one. All right, let's move on. Secondly, what you are asking for is monetary payment. Again, I agree with you. But who determines the value of that monetary payment? Is it you? No, they do. So they give you cash. Okay, I got some ones, rare occasion I have some money in my pocket, right? They give you some money. They give you, here's your money. Here's your reparations. Okay, they're giving you some money. On this bill here, it says what? The United States of America, $1, and it's got all the Illuminati stuff on there. Washington, D.C., blah, 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 Federal Reserve, all of that. And they got Washington's face on there, the whole nine. Okay. Do you get to determine the value of this dollar? Do you get to determine that, or do they do? No, you don't. They do. Every month they get up, they had the meeting, Federal Reserve or whatever, and they look back at the economy and they say, okay, we're going to raise this rate and we're going to drop down this rate. That ain't you there. They're doing it. Okay, so the government, you are begging the government to give you something that they determine the value of it. Okay? Walk with me now. All right? So that's another thing I want you to think about. Now, we live in an era right now where, just like I put that money back, by the time they get through all of this, for real, I mean, they're just still in the entry point right now with this whole reparations argument up on Capitol Hill. But let's just hit the fast forward button here for a second. By the time they get through all this, money pretty much is going to be digitized. We're going to be getting into crypto. So what, and this is for those of you who follow this platform, I've said this, I've made this argument many times, but I'm just doing it again for the sake of those who were not paying attention. So let's fast forward even more. So they said, okay, space age, you got George Jetson, you live right down the street from him. Everybody's using crypto. Well, with cryptocurrency or digital money, now they can determine the value even at a greater level. What do I mean by that? So if they say, okay, we're going to give this dude, Detroit man, we're going to give him $1 million. We're going to give him $1 million of cryptocurrency, and this is our way of paying you back for reparations. We're going to give him $1 million. And the Detroit man is like, okay, here I go. He takes that money and he wants to do whatever. Let's say there's a state, one of these states, Montana, I'm just naming something. And he says, I want to go to Montana. I got enough money here. I want to buy 20 acres of land and for me and my family, and we're going to build this, that, whatever. Well, he goes to swipe his card. And guess what? It doesn't work. Well, because he didn't read the fine print says, yeah, you got 1 million Bitcoin or whatever, but because we control the value of what you have been given, we also had the ability to restrict what you can do with it. Okay? And guess what? This ain't conspiracy theory that I'm giving you. They're already doing that in places like China now. It's called social credit. Do you hear anybody talking about that? Or do you hear a lot of people like, just give me my bag? That's it. That's your only mindset is, I'm just about that paper. Well, it ain't going to be paper too much longer. Because once they switch over to digital, now they're going to have even greater control on how you spend it. So now, with all of that that I just given to you, do you think it's wise for us, for people, to actually believe that a government that has established a long history of breaking every promise that it's ever made to people that look like us? That's one. Two, asking them and trusting them to determine the fair value of what our ancestors did. So we're also trusting them to do that. And then C, we're also trusting that whatever they give us, we're going to be able to do pretty much what we want with it. Is that really a wise thing to do? Or should it be something else? Should we start looking internally and start fixing ourselves, right? Start fixing ourselves, weeding out the other stuff, and begin to take the resources that we do have and begin to build with that. Now, I know that's not the answer that people don't want to hear because, again, it's about they need to pay. They need to pay. But the reality is that until you have an army, there's not one army, there's not one military force that I ever heard of where their winning strategy was we're going to keep screaming until they pay us back. I've never heard of a military strategy that was based off of that. You can go through every history book. I assure you, you're not going to find a winning strategy that's based off of that. Never. You're not. A lot of times we like to criticize those in the civil rights movement. You know, all they did was marched and all that stuff. Well, that's what's happening today. It's the same thing. It's just a different way of doing it. So again, I want you to really think about, process what I just said to you. So am I saying that the whole reparations argument is garbage? No, I'm not saying that at all. It's a sound and it's a correct, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a just argument. But consider what you're asking and the real cost that's going to be associated with that. Challenge yourself on these thoughts, y'all. Don't just go and run with your emotions. They got to pay. Well, whatever. If they pay, they pay. In the meantime, I can't live my entire life based on a maybe that one day they're going to find it in their heart to give in my cup. I can't live like that. Maybe you can, but I'm not going to live like that. Okay. Like I said, I know for some of you, someone down there on right now, you know, I know for some people that ain't what you want to hear because you are trained just to go strictly on emotion. But I am challenging you, like I always try to do, is to use your mind, use your brain. That's why we spend so much time, you know, trying to get people using tools like ChatGPT and AI and stuff like that, and start building things now. Start doing that now. Okay, don't just be so reliant on that. Okay, so yeah, so this whole reparations thing, especially coming from this cast of clowns, I'm talking about on Capitol Hill, they are not interested in pushing what you really think they're pushing. They're going to put all kind of other stuff in there as well. So just be mindful of that. And don't be surprised if some of these people that you hear yapping their mouths about reparations, don't be surprised if you start seeing these people begin to fold in and start supporting HR 40. Don't be surprised. I'm telling you, give it about a year or two. Do not be surprised. Some of these same talking heads that you see in new black media, all of a sudden they start angling, and next thing you know, they're going to start saying, yeah, we need to get behind HR 40. I'm telling you, mark my words, because I see this thing already playing out, and you should too. All right. So let's move on. Let me see what other news items that I have here. And they're going to be very short news items here. So let me see what we have here today. Let's see. So we talked about the reparations thing here. Let's see. Let's see. I bookmarked some things here, but let me go, I'll just go through my bookmarks here because me doing it this way, it ain't gonna work. Let me check this browser here. In the meantime, while I'm looking at this, make sure if you haven't checked out already, We just released that book yesterday, the Big Black Book of AI Prompts. I'm telling you right now, you need to definitely check that one out, because it's about taking you and challenging you to start creating your own solutions. Okay. Because a lot of people like to throw that out all the time, in online discussion. What's your solution? What's your solution? Well, now we have solutions that we can build, and it starts with you. It starts with you. And that's a great place to start. The book is $19.99. Just check it out when you get a chance. Okay. But it's out there, and it's over on sambatree.com. And then you just go over to Samba University, and it's right there. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not going to play this because it's probably got music on it and I can't play it. Tell me, y'all, which I'm going to give my take on it, and you tell me what your take is on it. It's not this. I have to turn, like I said again, I'm going to turn the volume down. This video has been going around. I don't know what college this is. And basically, it's a bunch of female college students. They're dancing around, whatever. They just graduated. And I'm watching different people's take on this. And, people are like, this is just ratchet. This is ratchet, ratchet, ratchet. Now, from what I understand, like I said, again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that the college had an issue with that. I know traditionally colleges and universities, I'll play it again, colleges and universities for the graduation, they will tell students, hey, listen, once you get your, degree or whatever, you're going to have to keep, you just go off to get your degree, get off and go sit down somewhere or whatever. Right. And they do, and then, when it comes to HBCUs, they just be acting up and all of that. Don't listen to what was been told. Right. And, that kind of stuff I don't like, because there's been basically there's rules that was set up, established, and you need to abide by it. Right. But the clip that I saw, I didn't see that. I saw it looked like administrators. They were up there dancing too. Now, if that's the case, if the school didn't have any problems with it, I don't, that's them celebrating. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's them. You know what I mean? The dancing looked kind of crazy. I'll give you that. But I mean, other than that, it doesn't, I don't know. I think if there's, like I said, again, if it was established by the school, hey, listen, don't do that, then that's an issue. You know what I mean? That's an issue that should be discussed. But if the school administrators, well, at least ones I saw, if they were up there dancing, that tells me that everybody was cool with it. So what? You know what I mean? So I don't know, if that would, like I said, again, these are just my personal thoughts on it. I don't know if that's something that, it's like, oh, look at them. Here we go again. I don't know if that really falls into that category. That's just me. I just think that, it only, in my view, it only becomes problematic if it has been put out there by the administration that, hey, listen, hey, y'all, here are the rules. Please follow them. And that's it. You know what I mean? And it's just, yeah. Yeah, someone said, exactly so. Hold on, I'll put it up on the screen. They say exactly so. Great content. They just want to have fun. Cindy Law. Right. Yeah, in that case, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't see, but like I said, if the administrators are like, y'all, please don't act up, and they go and do it again, that's, now that's something different. You know what I mean? But like I said, again, that's just me. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Did this story come on your timeline? This is one of those, I will warn you, but fortunately it has been blurred out. But I will play it for you. Okay. But this is another case involving a knife. I wonder if this one came on your timeline. And this one I can't turn the volume up on. Okay, let me get this one up. All right, let's play this. This is in Florida.
Said he was stabbed. Probably fire rescue. Oh shit. Yeah, he's been stabbed 2 or 3 times, one in the left leg and one in the rear. Hey, what's your name, bud? Who stabbed you? Who stabbed him? Hey, where else were you stabbed, buddy? Just these 2 spots?
I don't know.
Were you stabbed in the chest?
No.
Nah, he's not really... They ran on Hanford, so that would be eastbound on Hanford from Cortland.
I'm sorry, like, this brother gotta go, bro. He went too fucking far, bro. He's gone, bro. I'm sorry.
We're just south of Heritage.
I'm so sorry.
So I don't have to play the whole thing here, but they summarize the story here. A 13-year-old boy, this just happened. A 13-year-old boy, these are black kids, unfortunately. A 13-year-old boy has been charged with an aggravated battery for stabbing a 15-year-old near Heritage Middle School in Deltona, Florida. And they said the investigators say the attack was planned and carried out by a group of middle school age kids. And what you barely could see here was the body cam footage showing the 15-year-old, he was collapsed. He just collapsed because he had gotten stabbed multiple times. I wonder if this story by chance happened to come across your timeline. Are they getting together to do a GoFundMe for either one? How would that work? It wasn't a white person involved, so how would that work? There's no white person involved, so I guess there is no GoFundMe then. I guess it kind of cancels out. But yeah, if there was a white person involved in that, yeah, now we got something here. But black kids stabbing each other, no big deal. But this happens all the time. All the time. All the time. And this is the points we always try to raise here. Is value only put on black life when a white person is involved? Apparently so. But again, these are discussions that unfortunately, anytime they're brought up, people get mad at you for bringing it up in the first place. But anyway, let's move on here to the next story here. And I got quite a few good things too that I'm going to share with y'all here. But let me just make sure if I'm missing anything. Sounds like I had some other ones here. Oh, did y'all catch the story in the meantime? The guy who's the former FBI head of the FBI posting like in coded language, basically, take out the president. I don't know if y'all caught that story or not, but yeah, these people, man, it's going to be really interesting the next few years. I mean, what this world is going to look like. These people are, it's something else going on. Just going through here, and then I will get to the other stories here. Oh yeah, this is another one here. This was, I don't know, maybe someone can tell me what group, Hebrew group this is, but apparently I guess they felt empowered to do this. It's a part, looks like in a white community, and these Hebrew Israelites decided to show up and show just how powerful they are. And let's take a look here.
Yeah, I'm getting these white people. Scared of motherfucker.
Let me ask you something. I mean, for those that are Hebrew Israelites, out there, let me ask you something. What do you gain? How does the community move forward by you going to a park where there's just white families just living their life and you doing that? I would really like a sound explanation to that. I'm very curious. They didn't go against an army. In fact, like I would say the same thing about IUIC. They will, they like showing, hey, we can get 10,000 guys together and we're going to march down the street and do all this stuff. And okay, fine. But then once the march is over, once the cameras are gone, they get back in their buses and go away. Meanwhile, the community itself, the only time they see you is when you're yelling at them. So how does the community benefit? What's the benefit? What is it? I mean, what are we supposed to gain from that? I'm just curious. And then, like I said, you don't go, you're not going to a place where there's a high percentage of white bodybuilders or something like that. I don't know. You're not going to a military base. You're going to go to a soft target. You're going to go to a playground where there's mostly mothers and children. And there's a few dads I saw out there. And that's how you show your strength. I'm just curious. I mean, what are we to gain from that? But surprisingly, you're going to see there's a lot of people when I'm on social media and I'm listening to Hebrews, they think that's like a power move or that's a flex. I don't, but I'm having a hard time trying to understand how is it? What's the tangible thing that comes out of that? Put it in the comments. If you can't put it in the chat, that's fine. But put it in the comments. Let me know. How is that a flex? How does that move anything forward? Just curious. Just curious. Let's move on here. I was looking. I had another story, and then I'll get to these TikToks. Like I said, I got some actual good stories. They're good. They're lighthearted. Okay. And because that's how I want us to go into the weekend. But I'm just going through one more time here on Twitter, and I don't see it. Okay, let me go to Good Vibes. Let's see. Let's see. All right. So what I'll do then, I don't see it. Anyway, so what I'll do now, let me go to on my TikTok here real quick. It was some couple of videos that I found I thought were really good. Yeah. Okay, hold on, sis. All right, here we go. Let me see. These are just some random good ones here. Let me see. Here you go. I got one here. This one here is more on the health side. And yeah, tomorrow or Sunday, I'll do my next health broadcast over on Sabbatry YouTube page.
Gut is oregano. The worst food for your cell is processed meat. The best food for your cell is soursop. The worst food for your immune system is sugar. The best food for your immune system is black seed oil. The worst food for your thyroid is soy. The best food for your thyroid is sea moss. The worst food for your stress is energy drinks. The best food for your stress is ashwagandha. The worst food for your skin is artificial sweeteners. The best food for your skin is chlorophyll. The worst food for your energy is white bread. The best food for your energy is moringa. Instead of doing something extremely expensive, I recommend a holistic approach with all natural ingredients. This is Wixen all-in-one formula. It has soursop, black seed oil, sea moss, ashwagandha, chlorophyll, moringa, oregano, and turmeric. And it has 92 out of the 102 minerals that our body needs. Most people don't realize that ashwagandha has 14,000 times more adaptogenic power than green tea. Moringa enhances relaxation 100 times more effectively than chamomile, and soursop supports mood 4 times better than dairy. I'd love to go more into the benefits of the stuff, but if I do that...
All right, I'll stop it there. But yeah, so there you go. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, for example, like skin. Skin, for example, we shouldn't be having issues with our skin. We'll peel back and look at some of the things that we're taking in, these things that they say natural flavors and artificial flavors and stuff. You got to avoid that. You got to avoid those things. Same thing with these extra sugars and things like that. Sugar in of itself is fine. Like, for example, if you find a good juice shop nearby or whatever, it's okay to get a glass of sugarcane juice. That's totally fine. Sugarcane juice, you may think, if you've never had it, you may think it's ultra sweet. It actually isn't. It has a really great, refreshing taste to it. I'm mentioning these things again because these are things that will help you in your mind and how to think things all the way through. Like what I was just talking about earlier in this broadcast about, just thinking all the way through the reparations thing. It's easy to launch into emotion and just grabbing onto that whole issue with emotion. And emotions are good because those emotions, again, like I always say, that's part of what makes you you. But there's another part of your mind that needs to be activated so that you can think things all the way through. And that's why we really promote a healthy health and wellness on this platform, because it helps you to think things all the way through, among other things. So I thought that was a good video here. Let's move on to the next one. This one I thought was pretty cute. And this is another one of those precious father-daughter moments. And let me put that out here. And here we go. I gotta play that again. Hold on. Let me see if it'll let me play it again. Hold on. Because sometimes they act up. Let me see if it'll let me play it again. Ain't that beautiful? Ain't that beautiful? I like that. I like that a whole lot. That's search Wilson World Media. Wilson World Media. That's the name of the TikTok page there. You could check them out. And I got one more here. Let me see if this has music on it, but let me I'll still show it. That means I have to turn it down. Just one other thing here. This is another one of those things. It's just, something to think about here. Here we go. This one right here. This is a elderly black man. He's taking care of business, making sure that the mortgage is paid off and all of that. And they filmed this, and they say he died 5 months later from cancer. And but they wanted to document that, which is really good. Really, really good. That it was able to capture that this man handling business right before he checks out of here. And I think that was definitely worth noting there and showing that. Again, this is how we are to be thinking, thinking about our families and how we are to take care of it. Is that the government's responsibility to do that, or is it your responsibility? Well, ultimately, it falls on your shoulders. Building legacies, building things. This is why we emphasize so much. Now, I'm mentioning the book that we dropped yesterday, but you can buy it or not. I don't care. Okay. But when you start going through and you start seeing that, this is the thing I like about, with this whole AI thing, is that I can have pretty much any idea and don't have a dime to fund it. But I could put out there, okay, this is what I want to do. This is the problem, or this is the issue, or this is just something I just want to do with my life in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, I want to do this. Can you help me to get to that point? It will give you the information on how to get there. When it comes to schooling, there was an article, I should have had it here, but is it here? There's an article. I'll just tell you about it. This is in Texas. In Texas, they did this is an article. You can look it up. They said AI schools are ranked at the top 1-2%. AI-based schools are ranked at the top 1 to 2% of performance. And what that means is that it's transformative right now for people who are getting it. They are seeing results. You're able to customize your learn. I literally customize a short course for me to learn quantum physics. Now, no expert in quantum physics, at all. Trust me, I'm not. But I have a much better understanding because I took the time and said, this is where I am. This is where my math level is. Can you help me construct a, whatever it was, a 1 week, 2 week, whatever it was, program on me, introducing me to quantum physics, to the basics of it. And it did it. You can do the same thing. It don't have to be quantum physics. It can be anything. Building a business, building whatever. This is the time to do it. You cannot have a mindset where your biggest strategy, your main strategy is that one day the government is just going to open its coffers and just hand you stuff. You can't think that way. The tools are out here now for you to start building, and you can do that. And that's what we try to promote here on this platform, encouraging people like yourselves to start engaging and start doing this stuff now. Okay. You don't have to wait. You can start doing this now. Okay. And we're going to do everything we can to encourage you to do that. Like some of the stuff we're doing with Samba University and other things as well. But most importantly, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. It starts with you. You're in no condition to help anybody else until you start investing in you. You understand what I'm saying? Start being real with yourself. There are certain people that you're still trying to hold on and carry on. You can't do that, okay? You got to let some people go. You hear what I'm saying? Your shoulders aren't for that, all right? We can help people as long as we can, but if they don't want to hear it, then keep it moving, okay? Your breath, your body, and your energy, they are most best spent when you're spending it here, okay? That's not being selfish. That's called self-care, all right? And it's okay to do that, all right? So some of these people, you got to let them go, all right? And you got to start investing in yourself, and then the people that you're supposed to be around with, they'll come in due time. All right. And I'm talking to myself on that too. But that's it. That's all I have for y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast here. Listen, you guys take care and enjoy the weekend. Take care now, and I'll see you again soon.